Hey guys, it's Jimmy from A Kid's Opinion, and a few hours ago I just got back from the theaters, where I watched F9 or Fast and Furious 9. I'm not exactly sure what the title is. Um, but yeah, and I was very excited to watch the movie. I actually saw it in an IMAX theater, which I want to see because it obviously looked really cool in the IMAX screen setup. Also, I got to see the first look at the Jurassic World Dominion movie in 2020, which is supposed to come out summer 2022. Uh, the um, the first look itself kind of underwhelming, but it was still kind of cool to see it like super early and on an IMAX 3 screen, and it was kind of exciting. Um, yeah, now let's get to the movie. So yes, like I said, this movie I was very excited for. I'm not even sure if it was on my most anticipated list, and it should have been because I was super excited for this movie. Um, and let's start off with the good. So first off, the action. The action is always awesome. Unrealistic. There were a few unbelievably unrealistic scenes, which I'm okay with. I will say there will be spoilers. I know this is a new movie, so if you don't want to get this spoiled for you, I understand. Obviously the action was good in this. A few super unrealistic scenes. I'm okay with far-fetched scenes in movies like this. I just don't like when movies are made up to be super realistic and have a super far-fetched scene, like the movie Speed, where the bus like hops over a bridge, like a gap in a bridge. However, there's one scene that in this movie in Fast 9 that I don't like. It's where they drive up a falling bridge. And this bridge is like a rope bridge for like humans to walk on. It is like nothing under it. And they're like, I was like, pretend there's nothing under my arm, and then there's a car driving. So there's really nothing holding this up. The weight of the car would push that bridge down, and they would all die. But yeah, besides that, the action was really good. The characters, always funny, always charming. I really liked what they did with the character Ramsey. She never really has too much to do besides hack. They did give her a little bit in this movie where she doesn't know how to drive, but she has to drive anyways because everybody else is occupied or captured in the case of Roman and Tej. Yeah, still like good character dynamics as always. Again, like the movie doesn't feel lost without Shaw. He wasn't in a post-credit scene. Doesn't feel lost without the movie. Doesn't have a gap without the loss of Shaw or Hobbs, I must say, which is good. The end of this movie, though not as epic as a whole building crumbling like in the seventh movie, a car going through a plane like in the sixth movie, or driving on ice while a Soviet giant submarine is coming at you. This is still like a really good ending. There's a lot going on. You got Tej and Roman in space. Kind of like they almost make this what sets up to be a sacrifice. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but still a great ending. Still has a super unrealistic scene at the end. But some awesome stuff that goes on. You get like all the characters doing things except Twinkie, who unfortunately didn't do very much at the end, or Dom's other friends who were in like the fifth one. I don't know their names, but they were in one of the flashbacks in this movie in the prison with him. Yeah, let's make sure to thought for a second. Okay, the end was very good. I also really like the new characters, and also like the old ones that were at like Mia's back, Han's back, um, Shaw's mom is back, and what I thought was like kind of very surprising was like kind of the entire like the Tokyo Drift guys were back. Like you get the main character played like by Lucas Black. I can't remember his name, but he has that southern accent. I think it is. It might not even be southern accent. I'm not good with those accents. Um, and then you got Twinkie, and you got whatever that other guy's name is, who I didn't know was from Tokyo Drift until a few days ago, where I read something about how he's back. I wouldn't have recognized him besides that. But you got them back. You got John Cena's add-on, which it is good enough. The villain in this, like, didn't have a huge motivation. He was just a rich, spoiled little brat, who you hated because he was a rich, spoiled little brat, that just wanted more and more and more, no matter what he already had. Yeah, so the new characters were for the most part good, and the ones who came back that you weren't sure they were gonna come back, like even Cypher coming back, I liked. Like, yeah. Also, the family aspect was good in this, with like Dom kind of making a mistake and kicking Jacob out of the family. Like that was kind of shown that he really shouldn't have done that. And they kind of like redeemed that at the end, where Michael Rooker's character was saying the worst thing you can do to Toretto is like separate them from family. And I think over time, Dom, throughout this movie, Dom did realize that he was wrong. No, unfortunately, I mean, hey, like, we're gonna have to go into the mixed, but I don't think I could say enough about how much I liked, like, the action characters and all the stuff that I talked about, before. Like, I really like that, even though it's not as much as other movies, like, it's not as much things I liked about this movie, there's still so much, the level on which I liked it is higher in like this movie than I would say other movies. It's just not as much, because really when it comes to these kind of stupider, more stupid movies, there's less really to think about and critique. Yeah, now we're gonna have to go into the mixed, and I'm gonna have to say the plot. The plot for a Fast and Furious movie is kind of like almost terrorism in a way. We kind of get nukes and stuff, which is, I mean, that's how it is in Fast and Furious movies. I just feel like it was way too much like the plot of Fast and Furious. Yeah, it was way too much like that. So I didn't like that very much, how similar it was. But as far as the Fast and Furious movie plot goes, it was good. The comedy, some of the comedy I like, they had just some individual scenes that were just meant to be funny. Here's the problem. When you do that in an action movie, and like that's always the risk when you make a comedy. If it's not funny, it starts being boring, because that's the only thing. Now, if you have little lines or gags during an action movie, that's good, because if you don't laugh at it, it doesn't take away from the movie. It doesn't make you bored. However, this movie did have some individual scenes that if weren't funny, which some of them weren't that funny, kind of took away from the movie because they were a little bit boring. You don't really want that in an action movie very much. Because then it might feel like, okay, I came here for an action movie, but instead I got boring scenes where they missed that comedy. That's pretty risky when you do that. And some of the comedy was like that. But some of the stuff with Roman and Tej was still funny. So some of that banter was still as good as it was in the past movies. The flashbacks, yeah, some of like the first flashback was good, as it really showed how hard it was for Dom to kind of get through it, as you saw like how you always know how much, like, you really see how much his family really does mean to him. I mean, like, or kind of how that family dynamic started. You kind of see some of these flashbacks of how Dom really loves his family. I mean, even though they're really not his biological family, just how much he does care about them. And some of the other flashbacks I thought were very unnecessary. And yeah, took away from the movie because they were so unnecessary. Like the one where Dom's in jail and he learns that his brother. I mean, yeah, I guess that was a little necessary. I just thought the length of it was kind of stupid. And also I didn't care for the past version of these characters as I do for the present version. I don't know. Maybe it's just who's portraying them or how they're portrayed. It's not like the acting was terrible. I just didn't like the actual portrayals of the characters in their flashbacks as much as I should have. Also, Cypher, I hate her. Like, I hate her in a way that she's a good character because I hate her, which is why I wish she was in it more. Because when you hate a character because you're supposed to hate them, that's good. That's good, and that's why you want more of that character in a movie because it gets a character to feel emotions. And whenever they do something sinister, um, you get more, or they lose, you get more like excitement or yeah out of the viewer, which is good. So that's why I wish she was in this movie a lot more than she actually was. John Cena in this, I wish she was in it more. I feel like he didn't have that much speaking lines, like at all. Also, I wasn't too big on his relationship with Dom in the movie. Um, some of it I thought was maybe Dom, like way too much of Dom's fault, like stuff that Dom would never do, like kind of disowning Jacob entirely for like 30 years almost, or probably a little less than that. But like he disowned him for this very long time, and it's just very unlike Dom. And after all he's been through, like giving Brian a second chance, kind of giving Lenny a second, like giving Shaw, he gave Shaw a second chance. Like, you know that Shaw wanted to kill Han. He wanted to kill you. But you still didn't give um your brother a second chance even when there's not verifiable evidence. Not even a word that he wanted to kill your father. I just I kind of find it unrealistic. Like these are the unrealistic scenes that I don't like, where this plot line's supposed to be somewhat realistic, but then it's unrealistic of how Dom's acting. Now we're gonna get into the bad. I'm Dom's son. Some of it was sweet that he's like a family man now, but some of the stuff was I thought it was a little bit too cringy at times, and also the actor I don't think was all that good. I mean, like it's very hard to find like little kid actors that can do all the lines great, so that's probably as good as it gets. Is also too serious at times. Some of the stuff with like Dom's dad dying and it was possibly Jacob, yeah, that was much too serious. There was also a part at the end where it's almost like Roman and Tej are gonna sacrifice themselves, and I'm just like, you just went from them making like Roman eats like real like junky food jokes to this. Yeah, that's sorry, but that's like way that got a little bit like way too serious. If they could have made the transition better, I would like it more. And this movie did take itself too serious at times. And the first portion fight scene when they're in the jungle, maybe it's because I saw some of this in the trailers. And I do want to say one thing though: movies nowadays show way too much in the trailers. Like I think it was Sing 2. I was watching the trailer for. I can almost like watch. It's almost like the trailer is a miniature version of the movie. You can see like every single plot point as it goes along, instead of just a little thing that gets you excited. So I saw a little bit too much of this scene in the trailer of the like jungle scene or whatever. Also, it was weird. All of a sudden, they just went to the jungle. It had one super stupid scene where Roman was outnumbered like 12-1 on lower ground. No, sorry, I think 14-1. I think he said everybody was shooting at him, and somehow he lived. It ended up like being a joke later on that he's invincible, and that was amusing. But that scene in general I thought was stupid. It was like a miniature scene inside of that whole jungle scene, and I just didn't find it to be all that good. Like all the amazing action scenes we have in Fast and Furious, the whole franchise, I didn't find this one to be all that good. Obviously we're comparing it to like awesome, crazy, super far fetched, but like looking amazing scenes. When this one, I don't know, it just wasn't exciting enough to me. But this movie in general was very exciting, very entertaining. Like I was never bored in this movie. You're like not at all. No, I don't think there was a time where I was like, "What time is it?" Like, no, I was excited, and I was kind of sad that the movie wasn't longer, even though like this movie is 2 hours and 23 minutes. It felt like an hour and 40 minutes to me, like 40 minutes less than the actual runtime. I like when a movie's like that to you, it either means that it's too short, which it wasn't, or that it's super entertaining, which it was. So super entertaining, I'd only give it a 7.4 out of 10 because there were a few too many things that I didn't really like about it. Still a really good addition to the Fast and Furious franchise. Yeah, so 7.5 out of 10 I will give it. But I definitely enjoyed it. Definitely watch it. Please like and subscribe. Give me comments in the comment section. Give me suggestions on how to improve my channel. Please give me recommendations on movies and TV shows to rank, review, talk about. I'm Jimmy from A Kid's Opinion, and be good people.